If you've never worked with a Dollar Tree frame before, I'm going to show you how I do mine, and then we're going to go from there. So I went ahead and started adding these because it is kind of tedious, but you'll notice that on the frame it has a crossbar. It has a crossbar and there's 6 crossbars, and then in between that, so what I do is I put a pipe cleaner and I wrap it around the bottom, either the bottom 2 or one of the bottom rings. I don't do the outside ring, I do the one ring up. So I twist a pipe cleaner and I will add that right there at that crossbar so that I'm capturing that crossbar. So I'm doing that, and then I'm going to give it a couple of twists. I did one at the crossbar, and now I'm going to go to the top, or the 2 inner rings, and I'm going to put one in between this section and this whole section. A crossbar, crossbar. Now I'm going to go on the inner rings and put a pipe cleaner there. So I have 12 total pipe cleaners on my Dollar Tree frame. Now, keep in mind the Dollar Tree frames, unless they've changed, yeah, they're 14, actually, hang on. They're actually more like 13 inches, I want to say. 13 inches in diameter. Yeah, 13 inches in diameter. So not as big as the elevated wreath frames that I typically use. However, that also means that you don't need as much mesh to have a fuller wreath. So I'm going to talk about the mesh here in just a moment. Now, so I added those pipe cleaners on the outer and then one in the center. Then if you noticed, I took my glue gun and I put just a little spot of glue so that it's touching the pipe cleaner and the wire frame. And I only do this so that the pipe cleaners don't shift, because if they're loose, that means that once I add my mesh could shift as well. So I always like to secure that down. And of course, I put this ceramic tile underneath it to catch my hot glue so it didn't get on my mat. Look at this. I've got this sign. It's an 8-inch. I've got this mesh and some ribbon and some floral, or actually greenery. So this is going to be fun. And so this is a poly jute mesh. And so this is more of an everyday. This one is one that can hang on your door from spring all the way to fall. So we're going to cut this 10-inch mesh into 30-inch strips. So we need 12 of them. All right, I'm going to explain what I just did in a moment, making this cruffle or woodland ruffle. I'm going to put it where the curls are facing down. So the curl is under, not on top, and that's going to go on the outside rim. All right, so this 30-inch strip, I am going to take the ends of it and I'm going to curl it in a couple of curls. And it's about quarter, $half size. I'm more quarter. And I'm going to just clamp it with a clothespin. I just use these little clamps here, but a clothespin works great. And then I'm going to come to the opposite end and curl it in, curl it in. And now I'm going to walk right up the center and like squeeze, pinch it together. So this is called the woodland ruffle. And you can put the curls, you can do more because this is a 30-inch piece, but it just depends on how full you want it. I'm going to skip the next outside pipe cleaner and I'm going to go to this one. So I have 6 on the outside and 6 on the inside. So we're going to skip this one and go here. And the reason that I do that is because my mesh will lay smoother and not get all bunched up when I try to push them in next to each other. Y'all, I'm actually, so depending on what kind of pancake style wreath you're making, this is just the first layer. So I've got the outside of it done. There's 12 ruffles here. And then on the inside, we've got another, not 12, there's 6 ruffles there. On the inside, we've got enough to do another 6. So I'm gonna bring that up. So sometimes what we'll do is, hey Angela, is we will put ribbon on at this stage. So if I were doing ribbon tails, this is where I'm going to put it on. And I'm not 100% sure I want ribbon tails on this. Am I different? Yes, I can be different. So, because I think it's gonna take it away from where I wanna go with this. Let's see. So we see that, and we're gonna add some of this beautiful fern on here. So this plastic mixed olive bush, and we're gonna add some of that color in there. Maybe I will put some tails. Let's just see. Let's just cut a 12-inch tail, and we're gonna practice. That's the nice part about being creative, is you can do whatever you want. And see if I want to do ribbon tails. You know what? I think I am gonna go ahead and go with the ribbon tails. Okay, let's do ribbon tails. So I'm gonna do 12-inch ribbon tails, and we're gonna do that before we put on the top layer. So by putting on the ribbon tails first, they will lay smoothly underneath, and they are less apt to get all bunched up. So let's cut that. I only need 6 for the outside, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do, that's 3, 4, and 2 more, 5, 6. Okay. And do a ribbon tail on top of each ruffle that we've already put on the wreath frame. So again, if you're just joining, this is a Dollar Tree wreath frame. It is a 13-inch frame. By using the frame, it takes, I'm able to use 30-inch strips of mesh, which makes it really nice and full and lush. And the cost is just keeps the cost down for you. So if you're looking for an affordable, fun, vibrant colored design to either hang on your door or to have in your shop, whether you're doing craft shows or Etsy or both, it's really awesome to have. This is going to be one of those that's definitely going to fit the bill for many seasons or many months, right? Before I left Mastermind. Okay, so this is our sign, and I am going to attach a cable tie mount to the back of it. I'm going to put a couple of cable tie mounts, and before I do that, I try to look and see where am I going to place my sign, and in this case, I'm going to do it off to the side. So I chose an 8-inch size sign because the Dollar Tree frame is 13 inches, so the proportions are very nice. So the sign's not too big, not too small, and by the time we get done and the beautiful contrast that we've got going on, it's gonna be perfect. So this sign does have holes in it, and you're more than welcome to just put a pipe cleaner through the holes or floral wire, whatever you use. I prefer not to have it showing on the front part of it, so I always use cable tie mounts. And I use the DAP Rapid Fuse glue to secure them down. Let this cure and set up while we finish this. And now let's do the rest of our ruffles. So we did the outer layer. Now we're going to do the top rings and add our ribbon tails on the top layer. And if you look right now at where we're at in the scheme of things, this is not your typical, I don't have a mesh wreath in here to compare it to, but this is not your typical wreath, right? So it's thin, not real poofy and thick. That's the Pancake wreath texture. I don't know what else to call it. What else do we call it? Who knows? I feel like there should be another one right there. But maybe not. Maybe not. Now this is one that I will probably, not probably, but I will go back and I will trim back. I will do something fun with the pipe cleaners. So I'm not gonna leave the pipe cleaners sticking straight up like you see them right now. But I do that as the very last thing. So the very last thing is I kind of trim things up. I will look at the back of the wreath if there's anything that needs to be trimmed up there, or just, you know, make it presentable if there's anything that looks funky on the back. We have to make it look neat in the back too, right? At least I do. I do not. How many of you put like something to cover the back? When I first started making wreaths, that was a big thing for a lot of people that I was watching. And I'm like, I ain't got time for that. I have not got time for that. Add our focal point, which is our welcome sign. And again, I'm gonna do that kind of off to the side. And I'm gonna run that pipe cleaner down through the mesh. One thing that nobody told me when I first started making wreaths was you're not supposed to move the mesh out of the way so that you can get the pipe cleaner in there. And that's what I was doing, is like pushing the mesh, making a hole. Don't do that. Don't make a hole. There's our sign attached. But if you look really closely in that sign, do you see that like little pod right in between those flowers? So it really immediately reminded me of the tips on this fern. Can you see that? So I said that was a perfect fit. I'm going to add some of this greenery in here. And this is where I said I like to use any place there's a pipe cleaner, I want to add some greenery, and I'm going to use the pipe cleaner to help me secure it. Now, I don't have a rhyme or reason of how I add my greenery or florals. So like right now, I'm going to add some before I put the bow on, because I won't have to mess with moving the bow around. One thing though, is that I like to make sure that my greenery is almost touching the sign or the next entity. And some glue. I'm going to bring that down here and stick it in the weave of the mesh, and I'm just kind of wiggle it around so it touches as many places as possible. But then I'm going to take that pipe cleaner and I'm also going to attach it to that fern. So it's not being held on, it's not solely depending on that glue. So let's see what that looks like. So I have a starting piece here and a piece up here. I want to make sure that I've got that going on first. And I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to do a couple more. And get the tag off of it there. Don't need no mini pearl today. I'm going to look for another twist tie and go right in next to another twist tie. The nice thing with this one having 12 twist ties is you don't need, I mean, the 12-inch frame, 13-inch frame from Dollar Tree automatically means you don't need as much product of everything. So I don't need as many pipe cleaners. I don't need as many florals. I don't need as much ribbon. A roll of mesh. I could have made my ruffles thinner and used 20 inches rather than 30 inches, but quite honestly, I didn't want to have any left over. And it does make it a little bit fuller, so if you're worried about it being too full, you can do this at 20-inch strips too. Just saying. Okay, perfect, perfect. See where I'm adding? And that greenery really softens it up, that fern does. Okay, I'm gonna put one more piece in, and then we're gonna switch over to the bow. And I've still got plenty of fern. I don't know how many stems this has on it. Does it say 12? So I've got 12 stems, and guess what? I have 12 twist ties. So I truly could put one in each twist tie if I so desired. Okay, that'll get me started. I've got this one I'm gonna put in, and then we will go to the bow. I wanted to do a whimsical bow. So let me do yeah, I'm okay with that. Some people are, let me see what that looks like with that bow on there. Again, I wanted kind of a whimsy bow. Nothing real fun or nothing real showstopper, because I wanted the focal point to be my sign. So, you know, when you are using, so here's, I'll stop and do some training here. So if you're using a really elaborate ribbon, like a luxury ribbon, I wouldn't necessarily do an entire bow out of all that ribbon unless I'm really doing a high-end job, you know. So if I'm doing an elaborate design, I know that I'm looking at a $200-300 wreath easy, then I would maybe do a bow in all luxury ribbon. But when I am kind of mixing and I'm trying to keep it more of the middle of the road cost for the consumer, I use that special ribbon, that more expensive ribbon. I'll use it like in the center of a bow. I'll have a layered bow, have it more in the center so that it's close to the top but not on top, and it's, you can definitely see it displayed. And I only need maybe 24 inches of it. I don't use a whole lot, maybe one loop, but it definitely adds some additional character and flavor to my designs. Thanks, Sarah. Almost, guys. So adding some more greenery, adding some more of that fern bush, and I'm just gonna keep going around. And as we already established, it's got 12 twist ties on it, and there's 12 stems on the bush. So let's see how I want to place these. It looks pretty awesome the way it's going. So, and of course I want to hide the mechanics, so I'm trying to get the glue so that it's not going to show. We don't want the glue to show. That's not good. It's not good. And then, as I already mentioned, I will go back and I will be trimming up these pipe cleaners. And as someone else mentioned, this one is probably going to get curled with the end of a pencil. I use a paintbrush or ink pen or whatever, and have a little curl to it so it stays as part of the wreath. But I'm also using it right now to secure my greenery. There we go. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great evening.